Like, you compare him to the Nationals, I think after you get past 5, especially, like, in their top 3, I think that's where most of it's concentrated.
Right.
After that, I don't know, there's a lot of question marks, but the guys at the top are pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's really a 1-2 for me. I mean, not sure how big of a fan you are of Justin Crawford. I think he's a good player, a good prospect, but I view a pretty significant tier break after Aidan Miller and Andrew Painter. I think those two are like definite, no doubt. Top 100 guys who will be in a very prominent spot on the top 100 list. And then Justin Crawford, I don't know. Do you view him as a top 100 player? I could see him being a kind of a polarizing type who some people have on. Some people maybe think that they just don't trust the ground ball rate and the shocking defense from him. So
He is a top 100 guy for me, but I do think we'll have some disagreements
right.
elsewhere.
Yeah.
Aidan Miller, though, I think we'll probably have a good amount of agreement. We'll
Yeah, I would
see.
be
But
surprised if, I mean, not everyone had him in the top 30 pretty convincingly, right? He's a really impressive player, and you kind of alluded to it earlier, but how good his defense is as a shortstop at this stage is kind of shocking if you think back to how he was viewed as a high school player. I mean, he was playing third base a lot on the showcase circuit. Like I viewed him as like a definite third baseman moving forward. I remember being skeptical too when he was drafted as a shortstop, being skeptical when he was run out at shortstop, and then being like, okay, like even if you think he's going to play third base in the future, like getting reps as a shortstop certainly can't hurt him. Like the footwork that's going to require is going to translate to the hot corner. And nope, I was just wrong. He is a shortstop and a very good one at that. Seeing some of the plays that he can make there now kind of transforms the profile because if you got a plus defender at shortstop who also has an above average hit power combination, that's not a good prospect. That's a great prospect. And I'd never needed to be sold on the hit power with Aidan Miller, but now that you layer in the new defensive reality for him, it's extremely exciting.
yeah, he went Bo Bichette on his defense at
Yeah.
shortstop. It's a guy who you and
Although you're
I
dropping the guy who's probably going to move from shortstop to second base full time shortly. So, but maybe a good comparison as an amateur.
I think he's had a good run at shortstop so far.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he was a guy that, you and I thought he was a third baseman, but,
Hmm.
potentially an above average defender at third base, but a player who I would say very few people thought was going to be a shortstop coming out of high school. And he was, he was hurt that spring for like a
Hmm.
big chunk of it. So I don't know how
A
much
hamate
time he had
injury, I
to,
believe. Yeah.
yeah, I don't know how much
Like he
time he had
shouldn't
to
have
like,
fallen to the back of the first round. I don't think he would have. He was 27th overall. I think in that class, he was probably the best hitter after Walker Jenkins and Max Clark. Like hit power, I think I always dropped that one. Like he had the best hit power combination in the class beyond those two, and maybe even take the power over Max Clark. So if he's not injured, I don't think the Phillies get a chance at him. But I mean, kudos to them for scooping him up when he got there.
yeah, he's proven us and a lot of people wrong on the
Hmm.
defensive side
Yep.
because we talked about it early last year, really, when it was his first season in pro ball. It's like, hey, like
You
if you
start to
just
get
watch,
glimpses of what it looks like. Yeah.
yeah, like this guy looks like a shortstop, and there is this $300 million player, Trey Turner, who the Phillies have at
Hmm.
shortstop, who's signed until 2084, or no, it's 2033. So does Aidan Miller end up playing shortstop for the Phillies in the major leagues? I don't know. Dave Dombrowski is still in charge, so who knows if he ends up getting traded. But Aidan Miller is a shortstop, and he can play shortstop
Hmm.
in the big leagues. And Trey Turner is going to be 33 years old next season, and I don't know that Aidan Miller is going to be ready to play in the big leagues in 2026. He's only played 8 games in AAA. But if it's 2027, Trey Turner is 34 years old. I mean, at some point, Aidan Miller might push Turner off shortstop and just take that job for himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Offensively, though, like
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
that's where, yeah, I mean, it's not the loudest slash line that you would expect for a hitter like Aidan Miller, especially when he's playing in Double A and Reading. But when you watch him play, there's obviously a lot to like the bat speed has always stood out. It's
Yep.
still high end bat speed, easy plus, if not 70 raw
Yeah, he had exit
power.
velocities up to nearly 115 miles an hour this year. Very selective, doesn't swing a ton, doesn't expand the zone a ton, makes a lot of contact. I think like I never had an issue with the mechanics of his swing, but he's also kind of cleaned up those and smoothed out the hand hitch a little bit and still has that electric bat speed that you mentioned. So yeah, I have no issues at all with any sort of like light slash line. I think he's going to hit for over the fence power. I think he's going to get on base. I think he's going to hit for doubles. I mean, he's been a really good base runner as well. He stole 59 bags this year, which if you'd told me, if you'd have told me that he was stealing 59 bags as a high schooler, who's going to do that in the upper levels of the minors, maybe I would have asked you what position he was going to be playing, because he's clearly just much better runner than I expected him to be moving forward. But we're talking about a guy who, maybe he doesn't have the sort of elite foot speed that's going to light up like a baseball savant page, but outside of just the pure speed, I think he's got literally everything you can ask for. What's the question mark with Aidan Miller?
I would say, yeah, I agree. I think he can be a 25 plus home run guy, maybe some 30 plus homer seasons in there, draws a lot of walks. There's 82 walks this year. If I had a concern offensively, I would say it's how he handles secondary stuff, because he can annihilate fastballs and he has good hand-eye coordination. So it's not a ton of swing and miss overall, but he's got that hanging leg kick, and you can see where his timing is off, or he gets fooled by a slider away or a changeup that he's swinging over the top of. So the swing and miss and the overall results against off-speed stuff wasn't great. So I'd like to see him get a full year, maybe even at AAA next year, because if he comes up early next spring, I think pitchers are going to just attack him with like slider, changeup,
Right.
lots of secondary stuff that I'm not sure he's ready for yet. But long term, yeah, very optimistic. Then he's somebody's shortstop
Right.
in the future.
What's encouraging about that, even that question mark, which is real, is like it seems like he was throwing a lot of breaking balls early in the season in the minors and did struggle, but like him showing the ability to make an adjustment and sort of figure that out in season is encouraging for how he'll be able to handle that in the future and moving forward. Now, obviously, like the major league breaking balls are different than the breaking balls he's going to see in the minors, but just the fact that he's shown an ability to already make that adjustment in some capacity in the minors is encouraging to me for how he's going to be able to handle it moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw some late in the season where it still looked a little
Okay.
shaky there for, obviously a guy I like quite a bit, but I'd like to see him get a lot more AAA time to improve in that area. It might just take him getting up to the big leagues to like really just see those pitches before he's able to make that adjustment fully.
Yeah. Okay. Well, how about Andrew Painter, number 2 on the list? I think the second player in the system who's a definite lock to be a top 100 player. At one point was in the conversation to be top pitching prospect in baseball. I don't think he's too far off that at this stage, but certainly might have fallen back a bit because of maybe a little bit of a mediocre year. He's dealt with some injuries. He's had a Tommy John in the past that kept him out. Still has an impressive fastball, slider, sweeper combination, really good control. Where are you at on Andrew Painter right now?
Andrew Painter, yeah, he is a good prospect, and I agree with you that he is a top 100 prospect. I also think that he is one of the more overrated prospects in our top 100. And think I've said that we've just been too high on him ever since he had the Tommy John surgery. Obviously, like before that, he looked phenomenal.
Right.
But I think I just tend to be harsher on prospects who have a major arm operation like TJ, because it's not only increasing your durability risk and the risk that your stuff and that your commands don't come back all the way, but it also just costs you development time. That's crucial at a young age. But starting with it good, like, look, yeah, he's 6'7", right-handed pitcher, throwing 100 miles an hour. and sitting in the mid to upper 90s as a starting pitcher. The fastball also doesn't really miss a lot of bats. It's a lot more hittable than you would expect given
Mm-hmm.
the velocity, but it is big time velocity for a starting pitcher. Um, I saw a solid slider that would flash above average, but I don't know that he's going to have a plus slider. His changeup, I did like that pitch. That was his best swing and miss pitch
Mm-hmm.
this year. I think that gives him a strong pitch to use against left-handed hitters. Overall, 23.6% strikeout rate, a 9% walk rate. Not bad, but also that's not what I would view in line with like an elite
Mm.
front end starter who's one of like the elite pitching prospects, like very best pitching prospects in
Right.
baseball, which is the way that I think Painter is
Still
ranked right
talked about.
now, or
Yeah.
how the general conversation
So you would
around
not
him
have
seems to
him
be.
in the same tier of pitcher as a Nolan McLean or as a Thomas White at this stage. He'd be behind that for you.
No, I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
pitcher like he
And
did throw 118 innings
uh-huh.
this year after missing all of 2023, essentially all of 2024, except for he threw like 15 innings in the fall league. So showing that durability to come
Mm-hmm.
back is a good sign. And ideally, look, being another year removed from TJ, his command gets sharper. Maybe his stuff gets a little bit crisper. But to me, Andrew Painter is a good prospect. But I would not have him as a top 50 prospect in baseball right now.
I still feel like Andrew Painter's. I feel like his track record of throwing strikes at a high level, the fact that he's throwing the fastball as hard as he's throwing that pitch, the fact that he's shown an ability to make some pitch design tweaks and still show quality secondaries makes me a little bit more bullish that as he gets further away from that injury, he's going to start to rediscover some of the performance that he had in the past that we didn't see this year. So I think I would still have him in the top 50. I certainly wouldn't have him in the same tier of prospect of White and McLean right now. He wouldn't be a top 20 prospect for me, but I think in those next 30 spots, it'd be hard for me to not find a place for him. And maybe this will sound crazy to you based on what we've talked about with previous pitchers, but I would certainly have him in the mix of like a Robbie Snelling or a Jonah Tong. And I might prefer him to one or both of those pitchers. So I'm higher on him than you, though I am lower on him than where he might be. Where is he currently ranked on our 100, our last in season list?
Very, very high. Yeah,
It's high enough that Ben doesn't want to say where it is. Yeah, so I think I'm the middle ground between where that ranking might indicate and where you are personally. Classic fence sitting position here by me.
I mean, Tong misses way more bats
Mm-hmm.
than
And he
Painter.
misses way more strike zones as well.
Yeah,
Not even way
he
though.
does. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I
Again,
would say historically though, like you are right to really bang these injured pitchers, and so like there's some sort of penalty that you have to give, and like the performance is not great. I just feel like all this stuff still sounds more exciting to me than the numbers indicate, and maybe that's just like me being too foolish and like thinking back to when he was great, but I feel like there's still a really good number 3 pitcher in here.
again, he's a good prospect. I just don't. He's like viewed in this elite category of which before the injury, I totally agree with. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure if I didn't think he was the number one pitching prospect in baseball at one point, like he was at least right
Right.
in that conversation. Whereas now, and after the year he had, which was not a great year overall, was like ERA over 5, which ERA
Yeah.
is not everything, and it's his first year back from TJ, so he's good.
Yeah. Overall, it was a 5.26 ERA, 4.81 FIP.
Yeah, it's just maybe more in that 51 to 100 bucket for me.
Any other players that you want to highlight here for the Phillies? Because I think we both mentioned very top heavy. I also think just in general, like once you get into the 15 plus range of farm systems in baseball, like all of these systems are top heavy. That's why they're in the back half of our farm system ratings. It's very hard to have a really deep system that you also think is not good. But who are some other players who are of interest to you or that you like in this group? I got one at the back that I'm mostly just fascinated by, and I guess I can just jump straight to him as maybe you think through the guys that you want to talk through. But Cade Obermueller, left-handed pitcher drafted out of Iowa in the second round. Um, he was drafted way higher than I expected him to go. We had him ranked quite a bit lower on our board. The Phillies clearly like him quite a bit. I think he's going to be an impactful pitcher. Maybe they're going to prove me wrong in the same way that they proved me wrong with Aidan Miller's defense. He does have this really low slot attacks hitters from a low release point, great extension on this low 90s sinker that's touched 96, 97. He gets a lot of movement on a sweeping breaking ball that has a ton of bite, but I was always a little bit more like the reason there's a gap between where he was drafted and where he was at on our board is because he's so small. He's listed at 6 feet, 170 pounds, and he also hasn't shown much of a third pitch. I just really question like what is the sort of upside here with him? Like I think you could say the slider is maybe a plus pitch, but outside of that, I'm not sure like what you're really banking on. Again, this is like I'm getting a little nitpicky. It's the number 10 prospect, but what I'm most fascinated by is just like the disconnect between where we had him ranked and evaluated pre-draft versus where the Phillies signed him and paid him, because it wasn't some like big underslot deal here either. He signed for 1.2 million in the second round, so I'm really fascinated to see what he looks like next year in his first full pro season.
I think the most fascinating guy is Justin Crawford.
Yeah.
I mean, dad is Carl Crawford, electric athlete, great MLB career. Justin is an elite athlete too. I mean, 6'2", lean, strong, elite runner, 46 stolen bases this year. So I guess he's not Aidan Miller, but pretty.
Justin Crawford is no Aidan Miller runner.
Yeah, but like
sentences that exist. Wow.
21 years old. I hit 334, 411, 452 in AAA over a full season. So it's great hand-eye coordination, great ability to manipulate the barrel, put the ball in play. The swinging strike rate is excellent, so he doesn't punch out much. He's not a big power threat. He does hit the ball pretty hard.
You have to hit the ball in the air to be a power threat.
Yeah, that's part of it. But EV's up to 111, average 90 miles an hour. But yeah, two things hold him back at the plate. I actually like the major one more so even than the ground balls is
just the chase.
The swing decisions. I mean, he's not a total free swinger,
Mm-hmm.
but he's definitely not selective. I mean, he expands the strike zone too often. And for a guy who is not going to be a huge power guy, getting on base has to be a big part of his game. And he has the contact skills. Speed is going to help him in that, but he doesn't walk much, which is going to eat away at his OBP, because I don't think he's going to be, I could be wrong, I don't think he's going to be a 320 hitter in the big leagues the way he's been throughout his minor league career. And then, yeah, you're right. Like it's an older school approach, probably because he is so fast and just the type of player that his dad was, just to hit the ball on the ground and use his legs. And I'd like to see him get more loft in his swing because there's definitely untapped power potential in there. And I think it will just help his ability just to get on base too if he's not hitting so many ground balls, because the ground ball rate is very, very high.
Yeah, it feels like we've been saying the same thing about Justin Crawford for like 3 years at this point. I mean, he's had this sort of questions about how much can he hit the ball on the ground and how like what is the extreme degree of that batted ball profile and does that play in the majors? And maybe he's just one of these outlier types who's going to come up in the majors and he's going to be the exact opposite of the launch angle profile of hitter. He's going to hit for a high average. It's not going to really matter that he's not getting the ball in the air, because if he puts the ball low on a line or on the ground in the gaps, like he's got the speed, turn some singles into doubles, and that could play really well Um, I'm just skeptical of the profile, the combination of not being able to elevate and also the swing decisions that you mentioned. I mean, it's worth noting that like he's been one of the better minor league hitters in baseball in recent years, just purely going on batting average. Like how many players who have hit as well as he's hit in the minors have just not had any sort of major league impact or career, and he does have some real tools. Kind of still surprising that he doesn't get better defensive reviews than he has
That's
gotten. That's the one
that
that
is
I don't
yeah.
really get. Like he's a double plus runner, but like we've never heard anything to indicate that he's going to be an actual above average defender, let alone like the plus sort of defender you thought he could develop into as a high school player. I guess there's some like positional things that they're doing with Crawford that some people say, oh, this is why like he doesn't grade up better like on the analytics, but it's odd to hear the feedback that we've consistently kind of got on his defense. If he's not a
Ye
center fielder, then the power questions become significantly more amplified. So
Yeah, the defensive metrics are poor in center field. Josh talks in his report about how a lot of that could be because of just how the Phillies are positioning him so shallow, and that has an impact on how his defensive metrics look. But yeah, there's definitely a disconnect between the raw speed and how he's able to translate that into outs in center field. Like
right.
all that said, I like him. Like I
I
I
like
think
him if the Colorado Rockies trade for him because then I think like the value he could have as a speedster, even in a corner, and with all that experience playing shallow, might really be an asset at that park. And I also think like his batted ball profile would be less of an issue for me if he's hitting balls into the gaps there.
yeah, I think it's a really unusual profile. I think it might work, and when it's worked all the way through AAA, like it's one thing, all right, in low
Mm-hmm.
A, all right, is this going to work higher
Right.
up? I understand the skepticism, and I still understand it now. Obviously, when it keeps working through AAA, like there's
Right.
only one more level you have to hit, and it is a big jump between AAA and major league pitching.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things he does really, really well, and there are some things that I think, yeah, maybe it's not an easy adjustment to make, but you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to like make this wholesale, radical change necessarily. Just gets a
Right.
little bit more loft. The chase is going to be tough, but if he can put the bat to the ball the way he can,
Mm-hmm.
which is what I always liked about him in high school, and he's maintained that
Right.
now. Like I don't know, put me in the optimistic camp on Justin Crawford.
Yeah, in 2023, 132 WRC plus, 2025, 133 WRC plus. So it's not just like purely batting average, like some of the other advanced offensive numbers like him quite a bit. He's definitely going to be a head scratcher for me. I think like where I place him might depend on how much I like some of the guys in the 70 to like 120 range when we get to that stage. Um, but I'm sure he's going to lead to a lot of fun debates when it comes to discussing placement in the prospect team.